Hi my friends, welcome to latest Royal Insider channel. Today I talk about when Prince Charles becomes King of England. This is what will happen to William and Kate. For more than 65 years, Queen Elizabeth II has been the monarch of the UK. And though she's not going anywhere for the time being, she will one day be absent from the throne. When that finally happens, her son Charles will take over. And that will leave Prince William and Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, in a new position too. Interestingly, the Queen actually welcomed Prince Charles into the world inside Buckingham Palace. This was on November 14, 1948, when Charles became the first child of the then Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, who had married 1 year before giving birth to Charles, are also parents to Prince Andrew, Prince Edward and Anne, Princess Royal. Charles received a private education before beginning to attend Cambridge's Trinity College in 1967. His time at that university actually made him the first heir to the throne to obtain a bachelor's degree. And on top of that, the prince also went to the Royal Air Force College and the Royal Naval College. In fact, between 1971 and 1976 Charles completed a tour of duty as part of the Royal Navy. The Royal has since been heavily involved in charity work, and in 1976 he founded the Prince's Trust. This organization helps children and adults who are having a difficult time at school or who are unemployed. Arguably, however, Charles is known more for his private life than his charitable work. Yet what some people might not realize is that Charles actually dated Camilla Parker Bowles before he started a relationship with a certain Lady Diana. According to two royal biographies, the royal family allegedly deemed Camilla as an unsuitable bride. Ultimately, Charles and Camilla broke it off, and the prince tied the knot with Diana at St. Paul's Cathedral on July 29, 1981. Then, less than 1 year later, Diana gave birth to her first child with Charles. Yes, on June 21, 1982, Prince William entered the world. And 2 years after that, on September 15, 1984, the couple welcomed another son, Prince Harry. In 1997, however, the entire episode ended in tragedy. That's because on August 31 of that year, Diana died in a car accident in Paris. She was just 36 years old at the time of her death. Charles later traveled to France to transport her body back to the UK. And the prince had to weather his own storm as the nation prepared for Diana's funeral. In reaction to the loss, there had been a public outpouring of grief unlike any previously seen in modern-day Britain, with Charles bearing the brunt of some of the subsequent backlash. Had he not divorced Diana, it was suggested she might not have been in Paris in the first place. Then, in 1999 Charles and Camilla appeared together for a birthday bash at London's Ritz Hotel. The couple had seemingly reignited their relationship, and in February 2005 they confirmed their engagement. They then married in a civil ceremony that April, and Camilla was later given the title of the Duchess of Cornwall. Fascinatingly, Charles wouldn't be first in line to the throne now if a shocking decision hadn't occurred many decades ago. This concerned Edward VIII, who was made the monarch in 1936 after the death of his father, King George V. It turned out, you see, that he was in love with an American divorcee named Walla Simpson. Yet the Church of England and the UK government didn't approve of the union between the king and his proposed bride. After all, a divorcee was simply not a suitable wife. So, in an incredible move, Edward decided to vacate the throne. In fact, he announced that he would be abdicating after less than 12 months as sovereign. Edward declared at the time, "I have found it impossible to carry on the heavy burden of responsibility and to discharge the duties of king, as I would wish to do, without the help and support of the woman I love." The decision meant that his younger brother took the throne in his place. So the Duke of York therefore became King George VI, and Edward went on to marry Simpson the next year. In case you don't know, King George VI was actually Queen Elizabeth II's father. When George acceded to the throne, the future queen was 10 years old, while her younger sister, Margaret, was aged 6. Elizabeth then became the heir apparent. She was just 25 years old when she was made the monarch following the death of her father in 1952. At the time of his passing, after all, she was in Kenya with her husband, Prince Philip. The couple had actually spent the night at the Treetops Hotel in Aberdare National Park. According to Time, Elizabeth had been in high spirits over her tremendous experience and vowed to come again soon with her father. She had apparently also stated that her dad would love it there. A BBC reporter further claimed that just that morning, Elizabeth had been talking about her father and proudly describing how bravely he'd stood up to his illness. In any case, though, Elizabeth became queen, and a young Charles took her place as the heir to the throne. He was just 3 years of age at that time. And while Elizabeth has since become the longest reigning monarch in British history, Charles, in turn, has become the longest-serving heir. In fact, when Charles turned 70 in November 2018, it was noted that he is also the oldest heir apparent. And when he becomes king, he will also be the oldest monarch to be crowned in the history of the British royal family. This distinction was previously held by William IV, who was nearly 65 years old when he assumed the role in 1830. It's for this reason that it's been suggested that Charles could choose to abdicate the throne in favor of his son William. And this, it seems, could be a popular decision, at least as far as some of the British public is concerned. In fact, a Statista survey for the week found that almost 50% of Britons would prefer to see William become king in Charles's place. It nevertheless looks as though Charles has every intention of taking over the throne from his mother. And the Queen also appears to be preparing Charles to become monarch by handing over some of her responsibilities to him. In recent years, for instance, he has placed a wreath for Remembrance Day in her place. But what will actually happen when the Queen inevitably passes away? Well, when Elizabeth dies, it seems that a series of plans will be put into effect. This operation is reportedly known as Operation London Bridge. According to this supposed plan, the news of the Queen's passing will be spread amongst civil servants with the phrase, "London Bridge is down." After that, Sir Christopher Jeat, the Queen's private secretary, will apparently notify the Prime Minister of her death before the public is told. The PM must then apparently tell the 36 nations of the Commonwealth and the 15 countries over which the monarch rules. And when the news is made public, pilots will apparently announce it on flights and flags will be put to half-mast. Before the funeral, though, the Queen's body will likely be at Westminster Hall for 4 days to allow the public to mourn her. Then, she'll probably be buried at St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle, where her parents were both laid to rest. The days of the funeral and the next coronation will reportedly be made into public holidays too. Charles will also immediately become king and will probably make a statement on the day of his mother's death. He could then decide upon any of his given names, which include Arthur, Philip, and George, to be used when he is ruler. Otherwise, he will be known as King Charles III, and his wife will potentially be Queen Camilla. But what will all this mean for William? Well, when George VI died and Elizabeth became queen, Charles was made the Duke of Cornwall. He has, however, accumulated several other titles throughout his life. These include Duke of Rothesay, Lord of the Isles, Earl of Carrick, Baron of Renfrew, Duke of Cornwall, Earl of Chester and Great Steward of Scotland. And while Charles received most of his titles when his mother was crowned Queen of the United Kingdom, this is not the case for all of them. The Prince of Wales is, for instance, a title that has been in effect since 1301. However, it's not automatically given to heirs. The title is, as a matter of fact, reserved for male heirs to the throne. And there was no Prince of Wales when George VI was king, as he had only had daughters. So some 6 years after Elizabeth became queen, she actually appointed Charles as the Prince of Wales. As part of his position as the Duke of Cornwall, Charles receives a salary from the Duchy of Cornwall. This territory was created by Edward III in the 14th century and consists of 131,000 acres of land and properties. And on top of everything else, it additionally includes an investment portfolio. Interestingly, there have actually been a number of changes to some royals' titles in recent times. For instance, Charles's sons were initially known by the names of Prince William of Wales and Prince Harry of Wales. When they married in 2011, for example, William and his wife Kate became the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. Their children are therefore known as Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis of Cambridge. And after Harry's wedding in May 2018, he and wife Meghan were made the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Of course, Harry and Meghan have a child now, a boy named Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor. Yet even prior to Archie's birth, it was known that he wouldn't necessarily have the title of prince. And that's all because of a decree that King George V, the Queen's grandfather, made back in 1917. Still, Harry and Meghan ended up rejecting potential royal titles for Archie, at least while he's still a baby. Yes, while the youngster could have been called the Earl of Dumbarton, the title his father holds in Scotland, instead he will be referred to as just Master Archie for the time being. That may all change, though, once the Queen passes away and everyone moves up the line of succession. Then, Charles will be king, while William will be the direct heir. And as Archie will subsequently be a grandchild of the monarch, he will be entitled to call himself prince, if he so desires. Will Harry receive a new title when his father becomes king? Well, probably not. Unless Charles wants to give him another dukedom, and that's certainly not beyond the realms of possibility, Harry will likely remain as just the Duke of Sussex, with Meghan still the Duchess of Sussex. But as if all that wasn't already confusing enough, there's more. William, for his part, holds the titles of Earl of Strathern and Baron Carrickfergus. Yet when Charles becomes king, William will therefore take up some new responsibilities. And as a consequence, his titles will be forced to change. As the eldest heir to the throne once Charles is king, William will inherit the Duchy of Cornwall and become the Duke of Cornwall. The Duke has, in fact, already started attending duchy meetings. He and wife Kate will also be expected to be named the Prince and Princess of Wales. As per tradition, when Prince Charles does take to the throne, William and Kate will become the Prince and Princess of Wales, meaning he will take on additional duties to assist the monarch. Just like Prince Charles is preparing to become king, William is already preparing to become Prince of Wales, ready for the duties and responsibilities he will have to take on. Proctor continued, "I think it is important to say that just like his father, William is also preparing to become king. There is no chance that William will be Prince of Wales for more than 60 years. As such, he must also learn the ropes because his time on the throne may come sooner rather than later." And it's clear that the Queen believes her son is more than capable of taking on the duties that come with being King of the United Kingdom. At a party she hosted for his 70th birthday, Elizabeth II gave a moving toast to Charles. "Over his 70 years, Philip and I have seen Charles become a champion of conservation and the arts, a great charitable leader, a dedicated and respected heir to the throne to stand comparison with any in history, and a wonderful father," she said. Then, the Queen actually mentioned Charles's second spouse. She added, "Most of all, sustained by his wife, Camilla, he is his own man, passionate and creative. So this toast is to wish a happy birthday to my son, in every respect a duchy original. To you, Charles. To the Prince of Wales." But bearing in mind that Charles is over 70 years old already, it's only practical to assume that his reign will be a short one. And while William prepares to take over from his father, he'll also likely be grooming his young son George to sit on the throne one day. So, while George reportedly doesn't know yet that he's in line to be king, he's bound to find out before long. What do you think about this video? Please comment below this video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget subscribe my channel. Bye. See you next video. Thanks.